Good afternoon. It's 1 p.m. We're going to call this afternoon's meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee to order. Is there any declarations, or I guess we should ask for a motion to adopt the agenda first? Mike Barkwell, seconded by Mayor Letham. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Any declaration of pecuniary interest on today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move right into the public meeting report. As required under the Planning Act, a public meeting is being held prior to the committee making a recommendation on this application. Recommendations from this afternoon will go to the November 16th regular council meeting. The purpose of this public hearing is to allow the committee to gather information on the application before us, to hear those wishing to make oral submissions on the application, and to allow the committee to ask questions of the applicants, interested parties, and staff. Everyone who makes a presentation at this meeting is requested to provide their name for the public record. In the interest of time, the committee respectfully asks that you keep your presentation to no more than 5 minutes. When called, please turn on your video and turn off your mute and state your name. Application or 3.1 on our agenda is an application to amend the Mariposa zoning bylaw number 94-07 at part of Lot 5, Concession 14, known as 763 City of Kawartha Lakes Road 46, Holcrest Farms Limited. Kent?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. It's been a while since I've done a PAC presentation, so hopefully it's like riding a bike. The owner of the subject lands is Holcrest Farms Limited, represented by Bob Clark of Clark Consulting Services. Notice of the application was provided in accordance with the Planning Act. All registered property owners within 500 meters of the lot were provided notice of the application, and one sign was posted at the entryway to 736 City of Kawartha Lakes Road 46 by the city's sign company. The application for an amendment to the zoning bylaw relates to a condition of provisional consent, which relates to development file D03-2019-037, whereby the agricultural lands to be retained are to be rezoned to prohibit future residential uses and consolidate with a non-abutting farm parcel addressed as part of Lot 13, Concession 9 in Brock Township within the regional municipality of Durham. The severed parcel will be rezoned to the rural residential type 1 zone that acknowledges the existing single detached dwelling and prohibits agricultural uses. The single detached dwelling is deemed surplus to the needs of the farm operation, as the residence is not required for use by a family member or an employee. The application does not conflict with the 2020 provincial policy statement and the 2019 growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, as both documents encourage agricultural areas to be protected for long-term use. Normal farm practices shall be promoted and protected in accordance with provincial standards. Surplus farm dwelling severance ensures no conflict with the established agricultural landscape. The proposal also conforms to the prime agricultural designation policies of the City of Kawartha Lakes official plan, as agricultural land shall be protected from fragmentation, development, and land uses unrelated to agriculture. One of the objectives of the official plan is to support farming operations as an important component of the economy, a source of employment, and a way of life for many rural residents. The proposal also conforms to the policies of the environmental protection designation, which follows a watercourse on the property and will not be impacted through this application. Staff is proposing a draft zoning bylaw that rezones the retained lands to an agricultural exception 37 zone to prohibit residential uses and protect the agricultural use of the land. The retained lands exceed the minimum lot area and frontage requirements of the agricultural zone. The severed lands will be rezoned to rural residential type 1 zone to acknowledge the existing single detached dwelling on the parcel. The RR1 zone prohibits agricultural uses. Since the writing of the report, comments have been received from Engineering and Corporate Assets Division, the Chief Building Official of the Building and Septic Division, the Supervisor of Part 8 Sewage Systems of the Building and Septic Division, and the Agricultural Officer of the Economic Development Division, and they have no objections to the proposal. External comments were received from the Lake Simcoe and Region Conservation Authority and Enbridge Gas Incorporated, stating they do not object to the proposal. Staff respectfully recommends to the committee to consider referring the zoning bylaw amendment application to council for approval. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kent. Committee, any questions of Kent at this point? Seeing none, does the applicant, owner, or agent on behalf of the applicant owner wish to speak to the application?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of council. It's Hugh Stewart on behalf of Clark Consulting Services, the agents for the owners Hillcrest Farms Limited, and I'm with that presentation. It seems to fill in all the spots, and I'm just here if there are any questions at all of us. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Stewart. At this point, is there anyone who wishes to speak to this application? Anyone wishing to speak to the application? Third, final time, anyone wishing to speak to the application? Seeing and hearing none. Committee, you've got a motion before you. Deputy Mayor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move the recommendation as printed and read it if you want it.
Sure.
Report Plan 2021-060, amend the Mariposa zoning bylaw number 94-07 at part of Lot 5, concession 14, City of Kawartha Lakes Road 46, Hillcrest Farms Limited be received, and that a zoning bylaw respecting application D06-2021-025 substantially in the form attached as Appendix D to Report Plan 2021-060 be approved for adoption by council, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute any documents, agreements required by the approval of this application.
Thank you. Seconder for that motion. Member Brumwell, any discussion? Calling the question, all in favor? That motion carries. Thank you. At this point, this public meeting being held under the Planning Act is now adjourned. We have no deputations, no correspondence, no regular and returned reports. Final motion of the afternoon. Mayor Letham, motion for adjournment. Seconder.
Go ahead, Mike.
Jason Willick, all in favor? Motion carries. Have a great afternoon, everyone.